Karoline Leavitt held a press conference yesterday. She's Donald Trump's deranged and dilapidated White House press secretary, and she took the bait from everybody. Fox News' Peter Doocy held up some copies of President Biden's final pardons and suggested some of these aren't authentic. This is, of course, buying into this conspiracy theory from Donald Trump that Biden didn't even know what he was doing because of the auto pen, and he has no idea. Here is Peter Doocy raising this issue. Here's how Karoline Leavitt handled it.
When you look at these last-minute Biden pardons, the big ones, Biden siblings, Fauci, January 6th committee.
That's right.
Most of the big ones have the same very neat signature. We would expect that probably to be the auto pen. There is one that looks different. It looks authentic. In fact, if you look at the last name, it almost looks like the president was having a hard time spelling his last name there. Is this White House of the opinion that the only pardon that would count is one that the president signed himself?
It's very interesting. Very interesting props if you want to bring them to my office later so I can take a
It's like show and tell.
closer look. I would like to do that. The president is making a good point when he discusses the usage of the auto pen. Who was running the country for the past 4 years?
We're wondering who's running it now also.
Perhaps those documents were signed with the auto pen, something that I believe the Department of Justice is looking into. As you saw, Ed Martin made an announcement at the Department of Justice this morning to launch an investigation because the American people deserve answers.
Yeah. A little bit of speculation. I think that what you're holding up, Peter, despite, of course, these being copies, by the way, we believe those may have been signed with the auto pen. When did this become the job of the White House press secretary to irresponsibly speculate and placate the wildest whims and conspiracy theories of the orange man in the Oval Office? I guess under Kayleigh McEnany at minimum. Once again, the topic of this MAHA report, this Make America Healthy Again report, which had citations to studies that do not exist or that have no relevance to the conclusions from Robert F. Kennedy's report. Karoline Leavitt last week sort of chalked them up to formatting errors. That would be like, oh, I used a numbered list instead of bulleted. My indentation was wrong. The header was a quarter of an inch too big. No, they referenced studies that don't exist. Karoline Leavitt asked about it, and she goes, yes, just formatting.
I just wanted to follow up on your statement last week regarding the MAHA report. Sure. You said that there was, I understand there were some formatting issues with the MAHA report that are being addressed, and that report will be updated. We also understand that since that, there have been some citations that came about. There's citations of studies that either did not exist or did not back up the report's conclusions. So when you were referring to formatting errors, is that what you were talking about, or was it? Could you just explain that?
Yes. The citation for a study that didn't exist is simply a formatting error.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. There were formatting errors, and those errors were updated by the proper policy components here at the White House, and a new report was issued. So exactly what I said took place.
There you go. She's thrilled. Exactly what I said took place. Except, of course, we all know formatting errors are, I used the wrong font, the pages were out of order, we're supposed to use MLA-style citations, but we used Chicago-style. Referencing studies that do not exist to justify conclusions that are not in line with science is not a formatting error, but it's the White House press secretary. She doesn't, I would actually not be surprised if at this point, even she believes her own lies. I think she's getting high on her own supply, for lack of a better term. All right, back to Peter Doocy. Peter Doocy asking for a reaction to the earlier excretions of Elon Musk, where Elon put out an X that the big, beautiful bill is a disgusting abomination. Here is Karoline Leavitt's reaction to that.
The thing that just crossed, Caroline, how mad do you think President Trump is going to be when he finds out that Elon Musk said, I'm sorry, but I just can't stand it anymore. This massive, outrageous, pork-filled congressional spending bill is a disgusting abomination. Shame on those who voted for it. You know you did wrong. You know it.
Look, the president already knows where Elon Musk stood on this bill. It doesn't change the president's opinion. This is one big, beautiful bill, and he's sticking to it.
There you go. As is always the case with Trump, he will never revise or change his opinion. He will only later quietly change his opinion, act as though it was always his opinion in these desperate sort of face-saving attempts. But Trump is pushing forward. A reporter at the White House press briefing room then suggested that Pride Month be renamed to Nuclear Family Month. What a beautiful suggestion.
Congresswoman Mary Miller suggested that changing Pride Month to Family Month. I would personally like to see maybe a Nuclear Family Month. Some people are saying,
Nuclear.
let's get a Veterans Month. Does the president have any plans on making a proclamation, or is it just going to be June this year?
Well, there are no plans for a proclamation for the month of June, but I can tell you this president is very proud to be a president for all Americans, regardless of race, religion, or creed.
There you go. Actually, so Karoline Leavitt there sort of stepping out and going, that's a little too wacky. That's a little too unnecessarily inflammatory. She did not take the bait on that one. We then get to trade deals, and I just absolutely love this. Remember 90 deals in 90 days? We then went to 0 deals in 115 days. We are now at maybe 1 deal next week. And Karoline Leavitt seems to acknowledge here that this, rather than being at 90 deals in 90 days, we are sending letters to countries asking them to negotiate with us. Not exactly a sign of strength.
Reuters was reporting that there is a letter that is meant to be sent to other countries, which would give these countries a deadline of Wednesday to produce their best offer on the trade matter. Why does the administration feel the need to send this letter? And I have one more follow-up on trade.
Sure, I can confirm the merits in the content of the letter. USTR sent this letter to all of our trading partners just to give them a friendly reminder that the deadline is coming up. And they are in talks. Ambassador Greer, Secretary Bessent, Secretary Lutnick are in talks with many of our key trading partners around
Talks. We are now having talks.
on the globe, as you know, Brian. I know the Wall Street Journal has covered this quite heavily, and they continue to be engaged in those discussions. And this letter was simply to remind these countries that the deadline is approaching and the president expects good deals, and we are on track for that, I will emphasize.
Obviously, we are not on track for 90 deals in 90 days. And it's very funny because it reeks of desperation to say, we just sent them letters reminding them that the deadline is coming up. Don't you think that if these countries were really motivated, incentivized, afraid of what might happen if they don't negotiate the way we were told that they would be, do you really think you'd have to send them a reminder that the deadline is coming up? Pathetic, pathetic. And then finally, always at the vanguard of what's going on in Trump's head, Karoline Leavitt asked any reaction to the South Korean election. And Caroline Leavitt answers is very funny.
Does the White House have a reaction to the results of the election in South Korea?
Yes, we do. In fact, let me find it here for you. Should be somewhere in here. Thank you. We do not, but I will get you one, Jeff. Go ahead.
When she gets a question that requires her to give an answer that's not praising Trump, trashing Biden, or attacking Democrats, she's got nothing. And these press briefings, I can only imagine, are going to get worse, more depraved, more dilapidated, and more humiliating. Really not an arm of information at this point, more an arm of disinformation, and that's a very sad place to be. If you're like me, you may have found yourself standing in front of a massive wall of wine at the grocery store, clueless and unsure what to pick. Thankfully, I found a better way, and that's Naked Wines. Our sponsor, Naked Wines, just connects you directly with the best independent winemakers in the world, brings award-winning wines right to your doorstep. I recently cracked open a bottle from Naked Wines, and it was great. No distractions, no screens, just a great glass of wine and unwinding at home. My girlfriend prefers the red wine. I prefer the white wine. Naked Wines makes it easy to split a box between the two, and the prices are unbeatable because they remove those retail middlemen, and it lets the winemaker offer high quality wines at up to 60% off typical prices. Everybody wins. The independent wineries thrive, and you get great wine without breaking the bank. No membership fee, no commitment. You can pause or cancel at any time. Easy, stress-free wine shopping. Now's your chance to try Naked Wines yourself. Head on over to nakedwines.com/Pacman, click enter voucher, and use my code Pacman for both the code and the password. You'll get 6 bottles of delicious wine for just $39.99, including shipping. That is $100 off your first 6 bottles.